Hey everyone, Fisker Automotive reported second quarter earnings that I'm going to review in this video here. I'm also going to update my recommendation of Fisker stock, which I had it rated as a hold coming into these results, so you're going to want to tune in to see if I'm changing that recommendation. So let's get right into it. Starting with revenue, which increased to 825 million, up from 198 million in the previous quarter. Revenues were very small last year, so I'm comparing their results to the previous quarter since they're just now ramping up production and deliveries of their EVs. Loss from operations decreased to 87.9 million. That was better than the 121.6 million it lost in the previous quarter. However, impressively, its gross profit margin was 7.5% in the second quarter. Now, Fisker is outsourcing manufacturing, which is allowing it to generate gross profit margins sooner than other EV companies. You may be wondering why Fisker was able to generate a gross profit margin when companies like Rivian and Lucid are gross profit negative in this metric. So one of the reasons is because it's outsourcing production, which allows it to generate profit margins sooner. But the downside of that is the potential for the highest gross profit margin it can reach is much lower if it's going to continue outsourcing versus developing in-house manufacturing. It produced 1,022 vehicles in the second quarter and lowered the production forecast to 21,500 at the midpoint, citing troubles with one of its suppliers in manufacturing. Another downside from outsourcing is you don't control what happens with your suppliers, and so they're lowering their production target to 21,500, but the gross profit margin looks like it's going to improve to 10% for the year at the midpoint. Both figures are at the midpoint. The company raised 300 million in proceeds from a convertible bond offering, and the way these usually work is the lender, the one offering the money, has a bond, and in this case Fisker raised 300 million, but it has to pay back 340 million in 2025, or the lender has the option to convert these bonds into shares of the company. In what scenario would the bondholder convert into the shares of the company? If the stock price increases substantially. So there is dilution built into this offering, right? If the stock price is to increase substantially, this lender, this convertible bondholder, will convert their holdings into stock and thereby dilute shareholders, or Fisker will need to pay them back 340 million in 2025. So it seems like an expensive price to pay for Fisker to raise this money. But when you're a startup that's losing money on the bottom line, you don't have very many favorable choices when you're deciding to raise money for your company. Cash flow from operations improved to negative 128 million from a negative 149.5 million. So Fisker did make progress in the quarter. One of the big things that happened is it got approval to start deliveries in the US of its first cars, and so that was a good sign. It's ramping up. Now, in the second quarter, it produced 1,000 vehicles. It did that much in July alone. So July isn't going to be included in their third quarter. So in July, they've already exceeded what they produced in the entirety of the second quarter, and that ramp will continue because it aims to get to 21,000 for the year when it's not even anywhere near that figure right now. So the ramp is increasing and the company is growing revenue. Early stages, companies in early stages, so be patient with this one. But as far as my recommendation for Fisker stock, I'm still not recommending the stock as a buy. It's still too early in its business for me. I would like to see a few more quarters of history, ramping production, how customers' orders are going, how it's improving in terms of its gross profit margin, and all of that, the loss from operations. I want to get more data before I'd feel comfortable investing in this company. But that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.